Friends, omitting all of the typical cliche intro stuff, can you just get a 90s mountain bike to get started in the world of mountain biking? Yes. Let's put an asterisk on that. Now, mountain biking is a pretty broad term, no doubt. So I think it's worth managing expectations when I say, yeah, you could get an old 90s mountain bike and start riding mountain bikes. Now, no doubt, media attention focuses almost entirely on like enduro stuff, people squaring off corners, like hitting berms super hard, dust and everything going everywhere. It's exciting to watch little snippets of video like that. That is not really the type of riding that you're going to want or be able to do on a bike like this. I mean, you do see videos of it come up, like people riding down A-line on old 90s mountain bikes. But if you can believe it, people are doing that so that you'll click. It's clickbait. They're not downhill bikes. They're not particularly great bike park bikes, unless the bike park you're going to is only flow lines, then they work not bad. But what they are and can be is a low maintenance, robust enough with enough tire clearance machine to go play around on like old school-ish single track, old school cross country. That is what these were bred on. You'd be able to go out on this as a beginner rider and have a challenging ride on some local old school single track. Way more fun and challenging than taking out like a modern trail bike and riding the same type of trail. So almost kind of a copy of the last ride we did in the last video with the e-bike. We're gonna break into this single track here and just kind of enjoy it and hopefully not get a flat. Like this stuff, this single track has probably been here since people have been riding bikes like this. It's like kind of what they're made for. If I took the breezer on this, you know, it's nice and smooth here, it would just be overkill. It wouldn't be very fun. You could absolutely just keep riding this over and over and not really get bored. And right here, stuff like that, that's where the newer school drivetrain comes into play. It's a lot nicer to have something that you can just rip through the gears than old school drivetrains that just, you know, as much as it's gonna upset everybody, suck. Old school drivetrains suck. So hopefully you recognize that in that trail, I've ridden that trail loads of times on this channel on all sorts of different bikes. There's nothing like extreme about being in there, and that just makes it like, it makes it the perfect grounds, the perfect type of riding for a bike like this. Now, there are some important caveats here associated with that asterisk I added with the yes at the start of this video. Let's discuss them. My new Tilly hat is not one of those caveats. Two of them have to do with the mechanics of old 90s mountain bikes that I really personally do not like. All of my old school mountain bikes get upgraded to a modern drivetrain. I personally think old school drivetrains are really, really not great. I don't like triples. I don't like non-clutched rear derailleurs. I think they're loud, they flop around, they don't shift quite as quick. The only thing they have going for them, old school drivetrains, is the fact that the chains are nice and thick and last about 100,000 times longer than what modern drivetrains do. New chains are really, really terrible. But other than that, new drivetrains are better in every way, in my opinion. Two is 90s mountain bike handlebar width. They're really, really narrow. I don't think that they're the greatest for any sort of controlling feel. So for my 90s mountain bike, always going to a wider, more modern width bar. So of course, accounting for those sort of upgrades, those changes that I feel do really help the way a 90s mountain bike feels, you know, you're definitely adding cost to your initial upfront investment for getting into mountain bikes, especially like the investment of learning how to swap all that stuff out or paying someone to do it. It can pretty quickly start to feel overwhelming or not worth it, honestly. Of course, you could just ride it the way it comes. That's totally fine. I'm just kind of explaining what it is that I like to do with 90s mountain bikes so that they're just a little more, actually, you know what, a lot more enjoyable to ride. But the next thing is your skill over time, progress, if you will. In my experience, anyone who starts mountain biking or starts riding in general that enjoys it, wants to stick with it, the skill will sort of like pretty quickly and rapidly rise in a short period of time and eventually just kind of like start to level off. It's hard to get better past there. You can always get better, but it'll always rise if you just keep riding. But, you know, about here, we'll say, is maybe the extent that you really want to be spending time on a 90s mountain bike. Because at this point, right here, you're starting to look at stuff that's maybe a little more intense, requires a little more bike than what a 90s mountain bike can offer. Let's be honest. Pretty soon and quickly, the bike can be a hindrance on how far you can go with your progress, where you want to be on a mountain bike. And next thing you know, you're once again shopping for the bike that'll allow you to get to that next level. That's almost unavoidable. I just do think if you decide to use a 90s mountain bike as your introduction to mountain biking, you might get to that level quite a bit quicker, especially if you're riding with other people. But if you're curious about what it's like to ride on dirt, explore a little bit of those like little offshoot trails that I showed in this, and you're like, I wonder what it's like in there. One of these, a 90s mountain bike, even stock, let's be honest, will allow you to go explore those places. And if the bug bites, then it's done its job. And what I would say is, keep it around for those days where you're not feeling like throwing a bike in a car, going to, you know, your more intense mountain bike trails. You just kind of want to like tool around. This will scratch the mountain bike itch after you've passed this level and gotten to here. Revisiting those trails once again becomes fun. And if you're shopping for a 90s mountain bike, don't try and get like the really nice ones that everybody's like collecting. Just get whatever and just ride it until you know you want to go to that next level or not. Okay, that's it. That's the end of this movie.